Hey everyone, Skylar Thomas here, and it will not stop raining in Northern California. It's got me dreaming of the warm Mexican sun and Guadalupe white sharks. So why not make a video explaining to people, because a lot of people come from all over the world and they're nervous about going, it's a big investment. Why not explain exactly what to expect from your trip from beginning to end? So last year when I went out with Jimmy Partington and Islander Charters, I made exactly that type of video. Here we go. These are all liveaboard trips because of how far out at sea Guadalupe Island is. And day one, I just referred to as a travel day. It's the reality of it. Everyone has to go through it. And this is what day one looks like. You are almost 100% certainly to begin your trip in San Diego, California. A couple of operators leave from San Diego by boat, but everyone else leaves San Diego by bus. Either way, everyone has to pull into Ensenada Harbor, whether you're coming by bus or by boat, to be checked out by the officials. I have been to Guadalupe 6 different trips using 3 of the different boats that go out there. I personally have only ever done the bus method. In that case, you will meet the bus at your hotel or near your hotel, whatever you've arranged with your particular operator. And yes, the bus does have a bathroom on it. This bus will take you south toward the border, fortunately going against the commuting traffic, and to Border Patrol. You do have to go through customs, which means that you have to get off the bus at the border and walk through, and your bags have to pass through inspection. And then once you're done with all of that, you get back on board the bus and continue into Mexico. Next thing you know, you're in Mexico and you're pulling into Ensenada Harbor. Bags are unloaded. Usually the staff will help you get them to the boat. Come on to the boat, meet and greet everybody. There will be a quick briefing up on the top deck or inside, wherever they want to do it. You'll find out where your cabins are. They are not big on any boat, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to be in your room other than sleeping. Next thing you know, you're headed out to sea, leaving Ensenada Harbor, which is basically a good thing. And from that point on, people are usually just so happy to be off the plane and off the bus and done with their travels and in the warm Mexican sun that they just start drinking. And you have some fun chatting with people and talking about how excited you are to see great white sharks as you head out to Guadalupe Island, leaving the Baja Peninsula fading in the background. Snacks and drinks are served in the afternoon, and then eventually dinner comes around and you'll get another briefing and maybe some educational presentations. But for some reason or other, on night one of these trips, people always seem to put in Jaws.
Okay, I'll give you a tip, all right?
Mandatory with every shark trip out to the island. This is what's going to happen out there. Next thing you know, it's time for bed, you fall asleep, and the next morning you wake up arriving to Guadalupe Island. By the way, if you are prone to seasickness, this journey across the ocean to the island is most likely when it's going to happen. So if you believe in taking medicine and stuff like that, do it before the trip. Good morning. As you can see, we're rolling up on the island at sunrise. Brian, welcome to Guadalupe.
Hey, good morning. It's beautiful.
Day 2, you arrive at the island very early so that you have time to get the cages in and attract the sharks and get the action going, which means as soon as the sun is up and as soon as the boat is there, you should be in the galley getting yourself a breakfast and getting all your equipment ready, because everyone else on the top deck is getting the cages going, getting them in the water, and getting the sharks ready for you to hop in and see them. So it's time to gear up and get in with the sharks. Something awesome about Guadalupe is that because of the clear water and the great conditions, there's really no bad spot on the boat. Even if you're not down in the cage, viewing from topside is cool in a whole nother way, because up high you can see down deep into that wonderfully clear Guadalupe water. Although some people are super tough, yes, you do want a wetsuit, because even though the water is relatively warm, you're in the water for so long that you start to lose your core body temperature. That's because you're on hookah air and there's no need for you to come up. Speaking of wetsuits, this seems like a good time to do a packing checklist. You do not need to bring your own wetsuit. It is provided, but you may bring your own wetsuit. You do not need to bring dive equipment. You will not be diving. Even if you go down into the submerged cage, you do not need dive equipment. You do not need to be scuba certified unless you go down into the submersible cage. You don't need to pack much at all, to be honest. You're probably going to end up wearing the same thing almost every day anyhow. A pair of shorts, a swimsuit, some sweats, maybe some long pants, a couple of t-shirts, a jacket, a hat, a beanie. I don't even think I wore shoes the entire time I was on the boat. But you definitely want a hat, and you'll want something warm and easy to pull on really quick to keep you warm in the morning and at night and in between dives. Now, speaking of the submersible, different boats have different numbers of cages. The cages are different sizes. Some of them have submersibles, some of them don't. Or sometimes, even if there is a submersible, they choose not to use the submersible based on weather conditions and shark behavior. That is completely up to the operators and what they think is best for your trip. Okay, so once you've made it to the island, it's all about the diving. You're pretty much just gonna be diving and eating and diving and eating and diving until you start drinking, and then you're not allowed to dive anymore. And as the day goes on, as the night comes on, you have dinner, you have some drinks, you might watch another movie, you compare some footage, you download your footage, you review your footage. But then next thing you know, it's nighttime, you go to sleep, and it's morning, and you start it all over again. And the time goes by really fast. Speaking of going by fast, I wanted to tell really quick that there is a trade-off with coming in November. November, you get the really big females, which is cool. But as you can see behind me, we're starting to lose the sun, and it's only 2:30 p.m. It's dipping behind the island, which means that you basically have much shorter days of diving, and they start running trips as early as July now. Obviously, the longer the sun is out, the more time you have light in the water to get some nice shots of the sharks. You can hear music in the background because music plays all day, which fortunately they play good music. Okay, let's talk about the island, seasons, and what to expect. As you can see, the conditions are exceptional in Guadalupe, even as you get late into the year. But the closer to summer, the more like summer it'll be, and the closer to winter, the more like winter it will be. Earlier, you tend to have more young, energetic male white sharks, whereas the females come later, and the mega females only come every other year, except for mega female Lucy, who is there every year, and you can find out why by watching the Lucy video. Day 2, really quick update. It started slow, but we now have had a few really good sharks ranging from, possibly below 12 feet and up to 15 plus feet. And a really good player in there that just kept coming by and giving some nice looks at the cage, letting people have a really good look at her. So yeah, today ended up being pretty good. Good morning, it's 6 a.m. on the Islander. I'm in Guadalupe. I'm just going upstairs and I'm gonna show you what makes Guadalupe so great for shark diving. Where do you get great white shark cage diving conditions like this? And yes, Bob Marley's really playing already.
Good
morning, Eric.
Morning, bro.
What you
How's
cooking?
it, man? Little brekkie.
Little break.
Potatoes, eggs to order.
Hot breakfast waiting
Hot
in the
breakfast.
morning. Look at this team, hard at work. 6:30 a.m. and the cages are in. Conditions, prefer here or False Bay?
Well, as you can see this morning, we've got classic Guadalupe Island conditions. So
Classic Guadalupe conditions.
Island.
Okay, let's recap. You start out from San Diego. Day 1 is basically getting from San Diego to Mexico and then out to the island. Day 2 and day 3 are full days of cage diving, and day 4 is cage diving until noon, and then it's time to head back to land. This usually gets you back to land by morning of the 5th day, which means you are in Ensenada early enough to get back to San Diego to where you could actually take a flight back home that same day. Okay, this is a good time to break down some details. Every operator is a little bit different. Exactly when they want to depart and exactly when they want to return is up to them. And there are even some special trips that last a little bit longer. Every trip I've ever gone on leaves San Diego early in the morning on day 1. For that reason, I suggest being in San Diego the day before, especially if you're flying in. You don't want to have flight problems causing you to miss your trip to the boat out to Guadalupe. If you don't have the stress of getting back home or getting back to work right away, I would also leave San Diego a day later upon return to land, just in case there's any sort of weather problem. You'll probably make it back to San Diego on time to fly home on day 5, but hey, San Diego's nice. If you can leave on day 6, leave on day 6. What are other questions people sometimes ask? Yes, they will accommodate special diets. Just let them know ahead of time. And no, you will not see other species of sharks. I mean, it could happen. People have seen a whale shark go by. I personally have seen a hammerhead and a mako shark, but it was kind of a freak thing and it was very brief. I'm going to sign off. I hope that was helpful. Please let me know what I forgot that would be important to include. And I'm going to let Jimmy Partington actually close this.
Okay, we've just come back from the island. Another successful trip to Guadalupe. Tons of shark activity and some amazing guests. This is Jimmy Partington with Islander Charters. We hope to see you soon out there one day. Signing out.
All right, look at this happy, perky crew at 6 a.m. serving us
Look at the
delicious
plating.
breakfast.
Look at the plating.
There's Jimmy running away from the camera. Turn around for me. Come on, model. Woo! Yeah. Especially the people with the awesome shirts. They should be pretty
Oh, I hear